Some Gen X people don't cut everyone off. They just stop paying the social bill. That is usually the part other people miss. From the outside, it looks like bitterness, like coldness, like attitude, like someone who got cynical, stopped caring, and quietly shut the door. Sometimes that story is true. A lot of the time, it isn't. Because what looks like cutting everyone off is usually one of three things: selectivity, overload, or self-protection. Same silence, different math. And if you do not separate those, you misread the whole thing. What people call coldness is often something simpler: fewer people, tighter boundaries, lower tolerance for unnecessary cost. That is the frame. Not everyone in Gen X is like this. And not every person who pulls back is doing it for the same reason. But this pattern shows up strongly enough in Gen X that it is hard to miss once you know what you are looking at. Part of that is generational. A lot of Gen X grew up letting themselves into a quiet house, dropping a backpack by the door, hearing the TV hum in an empty room, making something simple in the kitchen, and figuring out the next few hours alone. No running commentary, no live check-in, no instant reassurance. You handled small problems before anyone got home. That does not automatically make someone wounded, but it does shape what starts to feel normal. And for a lot of Gen X people, what feels normal is this: privacy over exposure, competence over performance, loyalty over display, and peace over constant access. So before you ask, why did they cut everyone off? It helps to ask a better question. What exactly are they cutting off? Because often, they are not cutting off people. They are cutting off friction. They are cutting off noise. They are cutting off drain. They are cutting off one more thing that keeps costing more than it gives. That is the first version. Selectivity. This is the healthiest version. It does not mean I hate people. It means I am done carrying relationships that feel fake, one-sided, shallow, performative, or chronically draining. This is the Gen X person staring at Saturday on the calendar and already seeing the whole scene: the folding chair in the backyard, the same 5 conversations, the relative who pries, the cousin who only talks when they need something. The drive home feeling heavier than the drive there. So they do not go, not to make a point, to stop paying for a ritual that drains more than it gives. This is the person who sees a name pop up and already knows the pattern. They only call when they want something. They only check in when there is a favor attached. So the message sits. Then the thread dies. Then the relationship fades. From the outside, that can look harsh. From the inside, it often feels overdue. Not dramatic. Not cruel. Overdue. They do not always cut off people. They cut off friction. That is an important difference. A lot of adults get more selective with age. The circle gets smaller. The standards get clearer. The appetite for shallow maintenance drops. What changes is not always warmth. Sometimes it is tolerance. People do not lose feeling. They lose tolerance for social cost. And Gen X, in particular, is often less interested in keeping contact alive just because it looks normal from the outside. That is why some of them seem harder to reach now. It is not always that they care less. Sometimes they have just stopped pretending that every connection deserves unlimited access. They are not becoming colder. They are becoming more selective. That is not dysfunction. That is selectivity. But that is only one version. The second version is overload. This is where people get it wrong all the time. Because overload does not look dramatic. It looks like delay. It looks like walking in from work, dropping the keys, leaving your shoes on, seeing the phone light up beside a stack of unopened mail, and feeling tired before you even read the name. It looks like opening a text, answering it in your head, setting the phone down for just a minute, and finding it there 2 days later. It looks like a family thread filling up with jokes, updates, requests, and side drama while someone scrolls once, locks the screen, and decides they just do not have it in them tonight. People read that and think, rude. But they're only seeing the silence. They do not see the math behind it. This is when life gets so crowded that even decent relationships start to feel like one more task. One more text to answer. One more call to return. One more emotional tab to keep open after work, bills, errands, caregiving, appointments, family logistics, health issues, and the 100 small things that never stop stacking. Low contact is not always low care. Sometimes it is low bandwidth. That is not the same thing. A lot of Gen X people were raised to handle things, not narrate them. So when life overloads them, they often do not announce it in some grand, self-explanatory way. They do not always say, "I'm overwhelmed and I don't have the emotional margin for social interaction right now." They just go quiet. They stop replying. They cancel and do not reschedule. They look at the message, think, "I'll get to it tonight," and then night comes and they have nothing left. They see a missed call and feel tired before they even hear the voicemail. They let 1 week turn into 3 because every interaction feels like one more thing to carry. Not because the person means nothing, because they genuinely do not have enough left for one more thing. From the outside, it looks careless. From the inside, it often feels like barely holding the line. That is overload. Not coldness. Not indifference. Not punishment. Overload. And then there is the third version. This is the one people misread the most. Self-protection. Not melodrama. Not, "I hate everyone." Not some grand identity built around being above people. Self-protection. This is when a person has learned, slowly or early or repeatedly, that closeness can come with a price. Too much access. Too much explanation. Too much need. Too much intrusion. Too much emotional labor. Too much room for criticism, disappointment, guilt, control, or humiliation. At some point, distance starts to feel smart. Not warm, not ideal. Smart. This is the person who will help you move boxes in the rain, drive across town to pick you up, sit with you in a waiting room, and still go guarded the second the conversation turns too personal. Ask for practical help, and they are there. Ask for full emotional access, and you can feel the door close an inch at a time. They do not ask for much. They do not explain much. They do not like feeling overly visible. And when stress goes up, contact goes down. They do not go cold overnight. They get more expensive to access. That is the part people misread. From the outside, it looks like withdrawal. To the person doing it, it often feels like refusing one more unnecessary cost. And that pattern does not always come from one dramatic betrayal. Sometimes it comes from years of tiny oversteps that never felt tiny when you were the one absorbing them. The parent who turned questions into inspection. The relative who repeated your private business by Sunday. The friend who only felt close when you over-explained yourself. The partner who treated access like ownership. After enough of that, privacy stops feeling distant. It starts feeling expensive to give away. Sometimes the lesson is not people are bad. It is narrower than that. It is, too much access gets expensive. So the strategy becomes simple. Need less. Say less. Expect less. Expose less. That is not always healing. It is not always healthy either. But it is often understandable. For some people, what looks like distance is just cost control. And once you see these three versions, a lot of Gen X behavior stops looking random. Take a 52-year-old who stops replying in the family thread, ducks reunions, ignores random check-ins, and keeps saying they are protecting their peace. One possibility is selectivity. They are tired of stale rituals, obligation-heavy contact, and relationships that ask for attendance but offer no ease. They know exactly how that reunion will feel before they even pull into the driveway. Another is overload. Work is hammering them, a parent needs care, money is tight, something in the house needs fixing, and by the time the phone lights up at 8:47 p.m., they have no clean energy left to give. The message is not hard. Life is. Another is self-protection. Every interaction that asks for vulnerability, compliance, performance, or emotional labor trips the same old calculation. This is going to cost me. Not maybe. Probably. Same behavior. Different reason. That is why they cut everyone off is usually too crude to be useful. A lot of the time, they did not cut off everyone. They cut off the people who felt draining, or intrusive, or fake, or demanding, or chronically disappointing, or simply not worth the wear. And they may still keep one or two people they actually trust. The person they can sit with in silence. The one friend who does not make every conversation expensive. The sibling who does not push, pry, or keep score. That is not always social collapse. Sometimes it is social triage. That matters because people make two opposite mistakes here. The first mistake is romanticizing every cutoff as strength. The second is pathologizing every boundary as damage. Both are lazy. Not every cutoff is wise. Not every cutoff is a problem. Sometimes the circle keeps shrinking until even safe people are gone. At that point, what started as self-protection can become a trap. But the opposite mistake is just as common, assuming every withdrawal is depression, every quiet phase is bitterness, and every smaller social circle is evidence that something is wrong. It is not. Sometimes it is maturity. Sometimes it is exhaustion. Sometimes it is self-defense. Sometimes it is a mix. And Gen X may be especially vulnerable to that mix because a lot of them were shaped by the same basic code. Handle it yourself. Do not make a production out of everything. Do not confuse visibility with safety. And do not keep funding what keeps draining you. That does not make them emotionless. It does make them less willing to stay socially open just because other people expect access. So the useful question is not, why are they so cold? It is this. What are they trying to avoid? If the answer is pointless social clutter, that is selectivity. If the answer is one more demand on an already overloaded system, that is overload. If the answer is criticism, intrusion, disappointment, emotional cost, or the feeling that too much access always comes with a bill, that is self-protection. Those are not the same thing. That is the whole point. Because once you separate boundary from burnout and burnout from self-protection, the behavior stops looking random. It starts looking legible. And that is probably the cleanest way to say it. A lot of Gen X people did not cut off everyone. They just stopped giving full access to people, patterns, and obligations that kept making access expensive. What looks like coldness is often something simpler. Fewer people, tighter boundaries, lower tolerance for unnecessary cost. Not no feeling, just less willingness to keep paying for what no longer feels worth it. So the best question to leave with is not, who hurt you? Or why are you like this? Just this. Is this selectivity, overload, or self-protection? That question gets you much closer to the truth.